Guys of Reddit, what was your most awkward boner situation? So I must have been young and not fully aware of how my body worked yet, I suppose. But I have a very distinct memory of my dad telling me one morning that I should take some time and relax before I come downstairs. Apparently I had a habit of coming straight from bed to breakfast, morning wood and all. Looking back, I have no idea how I wasn't conscious of this. Your dad probably had enough of you passing by and sweeping his coffee off the table. I used to get a boner in the bath back before I knew what it was. And I raced Hot Wheels up and down my dick. Those were awkward times. Look at Mr. Long Dong over here. Passing notes in 7th grade talking dirty with a skater chick. The teacher catches me receiving the note and asks me to stand at the front of class and read it out loud. With all eyes on me and no time to do the old boner tuck into the elastic band of my boxers trick, I stood up with my sticker pecking out. The only good that came from that was I didn't have to read the note out loud anymore. I still cringe about sometimes. In college. On the swimming team. We had a 4-lane competition pool with bleachers for the fans on the other side from the teams. We had a groupie who wore short skirts and no underwear who would sit on the front row with her legs open. It's hard to hide your reaction under a speedo. We quickly learned not to look anywhere near her when we had a race coming up. How did that increased drag affect your times? Got my first boner, while awake at least, at my 10th birthday. Don't know what the reason was. But sometimes dicks don't need a reason. Got upset when I couldn't push it back in and started crying. When my grandma asked why I was crying, I proclaimed to her, and everyone there, my penis turned to metal. Luckily, it's only talked about at every single family gathering we have had after that. So the shame is limited. Edit. Literally anytime I was in middle school and class would end. I have no idea why, but the random boners always happened about 20 seconds before the bell. Lots of walking with my backpack in front of my waist. There are three kinds of erections. Some are sexual. Some occur during periods of nervous tension. But there's a mysterious third kind that no one really understands. It happens when your sklong decides to take matters into its own hands. Got a raging boner in class. Teacher asked me to read the blackboard. I couldn't. Because I had bad eyesight. She told me to move closer. I said no. She said again. Move closer. I said no. She told me to get out. I walked out. 9th grade. Was probably about a minute, but felt like a week. Smooth. Army crawling is normal and everyday way to move. Freshman year of high school. Wrestling practice. I grabbed a sweatshirt from one of the bigger weight class guys. Put it on. It was like a tent on me, and I just got up and left. You don't want to be getting a no reason erection in an all-guy Catholic high school's wrestling class. I did not wrestle for a Catholic school, but I did wrestle. My coach's opening day speech was something like erections happen. It's just friction and adrenaline. Take a moment. Anyone who laughs gets laps till they stopped. There were always a few giggles when one happened, but no one full on laughed. I have no idea why this happened. And I imagine I'm gonna get some weird comments. But as a teenager I would get one almost every time my family pulled into church. I would always take a while to get out of the car and say something like, "Oh, my Bible is in the trunk," or something, so I could do the old waistband trick before walking in. Priests hate this one weird trick. Oral presentation in 10th grade history class. Thank goodness for that damn podium. Getting a scalp massage in a hair salon. Might have been too relaxed. While a senior in HS, I got a boner at the homecoming dance while grinding on the dance floor. My date proceeded to rub her hand on my crotch. For some reason I took that as a cue to unzip my pants. She stuck her hand in and started stroking my dick. The entire time her friends are standing a few feet in front of her and one of them is having boy drama. Suddenly the girls leave to go to the bathroom and at the last minute grab my date's hand and drag her with. As she is getting pulled away, the hand that was in my pants comes out along with my penis. Next thing I know, I'm standing alone on the dance floor with my dick out. Luckily it was extremely dark and it happened so fast that I don't think anyone noticed. Edit. I guess I'll leave my typo for posterity's sake. My wife and I were on a flight to Amsterdam. I'd had a quick nap and had just woken up as we were coming into land. I had a raging hard on for some reason. I turned to my wife to tell her. She finds the whole thing hysterical and keeps prodding at it when nobody can see. The thing won't go away. It's getting around to the time when the cabin crew are making sure everybody has their seatbelts on. My MRS is still in stitches next to me. As I awkwardly flip up my boner into my waistband before the crew gets to us. I was still at full mast whilst walking through the airport. The waistband trick can be dangerous. In high school pay class my erection flopped out. I was trying to do a pull up and I guess the weird body movement moved my shorts down. Because my erection was at the waistband, it flew out like a jack in the bow. My most awkward one was when I broke my leg right beneath my dick. The nurse was kinda hot and had to shave my leg cause I needed an operation. She accidentally touched my wiener with her breast and I couldn't keep that damn thing down. I was terrified something like that would happen when I had my balls ultrasounded because my junk basically got massaged with super warm lube. But it was being done by a 50-year-old hairy guy. No boner, thank God. Went to doctor when I was a teen. One of my testicles is much bigger than the other. Just wanted to make sure everything was okay. New woman in clinic. Kind of young. I tell her about my nut and she says, "Right. Let me get a look here." Apostrophe. Now I didn't have a problem with dropping tro. But after I pulled my boxers down. Sitting on the medical table. She bent her face down as she held my balls. And the tip of my dick hit her nose. Asterisk. She looked up at me and blushed. My dick was waving high now at this point. Like an inflatable arm waving tube, and as I tried to exert willpower over my boner. I have no idea why she did what she did. But her face was that if I just really f***ed up. Apostrophe. I pulled my pants back up and she told me I should get an ultrasound. That was fine too. Edit. Had some arsehole call me a f***ing liar for confusing x-ray for ultrasound, haha. In HS one day I was sitting on a heater in the hallway with some friends. And I couldn't tell you what gave me the wood. But at that age it could have been a stiff breeze. Regardless. I did what I thought was a reasonable job of hiding it when out of nowhere a girl I knew grabbed my hand and says, "Ozymandias. Come here. Quick." And drags me down the hall and around the corner as I'm doing the three-legged race the whole way. Trying not to let her notice. She proceeds to go in for a big hug while I stick my butt out as far back as I can so as not to let my shame be discovered. But damned if she doesn't glance down afterwards with a confused look on her face. I was mortified. I felt even worse after the 2 or 3 years it took for me to finally realize that she had seen it back at the heater. Did it all to feel my dick against her and was confused when she didn't. And I acted like a moron. Edit. Edit italic portion for clarity. Unless you're alone. They're all awkward. But standing up after sitting for a long time at church is the most awkward for me. Boners for Jesus? I would get anxiety boners as a young teen. My mom drove me and every morning on the way to school. There it was standing to attention. The more I thought about it, the harder it would get. I just prayed no one noticed the trouser snake going down one leg of my pants as I walked to class, but I'm sure they did. As a pallbearer in my grandfather's funeral. Mourning wood. Edit. Sorry for your loss. High school. All 4 years. If erection lasts longer than 4 years. Call a doctor. I once got trapped in a hotel hot tub with a raging hard-on because my girlfriend teased me. On purpose. And then left. It took about 20 minutes for it to go away. So that I could walk back across the crowded Disney Resort pool deck. When I had my wisdom teeth pulled, a lady before the surgery took place came in and gave me this medicine to help with the pain. She started caressing my face to relax me. I had a massive woody though. Couldn't really hide it. Didn't think she'd care. She was smoking hot anyways. It was middle school. And I sat towards the back of the class. I had a boredom boner. And that's when my teacher called me to her desk at the front of the room. I had to act fast. So I covered it with my school book. Halfway to her desk. The teacher says, "Oh, you don't need your textbook. Go put it back on your desk." I froze in a panic and stopped in my tracks. I ended up right next to a girl sitting at her desk, whose face was basically crotch level. With the attention brought to my book, she looked over and saw what was going on. I'll never forget her whispering to herself, "I feel like teachers need to take a boner awareness class." Got an unexpected boner when talking with my coworker and she went for a hug. I'm 100% convinced my penis touched her thigh. She was in her early 50s. And kinda attractive. And had some nice thighs. Which would explain the erection I had. Fell asleep in gym class waiting for the teacher to show up and take attendance. Woke up a few minutes later to some laughing and discovered my dick was tenting proudly in my gym shorts. Tucked it under my waistband and went back to sleep. Nothing ever came of it until senior year when someone asked, "Aren't you the guy who got a boner in gym?" and played it off like it was nothing? That was impressive. Just goes to show, kids. If an embarrassing situation comes up, just own it and move on. I was a kid. I think 8 or 9 at the time. Maybe 10. Hadn't started puberty, but it was the start of those random boners. I remember they just happened sometimes and thought nothing of it. Did my best to ignore it and just move on with whatever I was doing. Then one day we're standing on the platform waiting for the train to come in and my mom asked my dad what's in his pants. "It's just a boner. Relax, honey." And I looked down and sure enough, I had one. From that moment on I was self-conscious about them because my mom made a big deal about it. Wouldn't it be awesome if that was her way of razzing dad for not being able to get hard? Oh, I didn't recognize it. It's been so long since I've seen an erection. FCKU. Dear. First time meeting my stepsister poolside. Did cheesy PRN music start playing? Word of advice. Flex a muscle for 60 seconds. After the door close, the boner will fade. My first girlfriend ever was this very hot blonde. I used to wait for her outside her school and she always received me with lots of kisses that obviously made my friend go erect. I thought no one noticed until some day at a party her girlfriends told her that she should just hug me because it was so awkward see my boner from yards away. Edit. Now I get why the upvotes. Her English is not my native language, so that's where confusion began. I'm glad I made you chuckle a bit, folks. It was so awkward. And weird. I mean, I want to check it out every day without fail. When they got older, my mom and dad slept in separate beds. My dad had sustained a serious shoulder injury years before and created several reasons for this arrangement. However, when I saw the master bedroom door shut, I knew that they were both in there talking, so I needed to leave them alone. To get to the master bedroom from the small room my dad slept in, you had to go by my room. One evening I walked out of my room headed to the bathroom. As soon as I walked in the hallway there was dad, making his way to the master bedroom in his tightly whities, with a raging boner. We looked at each other. He looked down. I looked down and there it was. We quickly moved aside, choosing the same side a few times before finally getting past each other. Wasn't my boner, but it was still pretty awkward. This happened when I was in 3rd or 4th grade when I was just going through puberty. And random boners were frequent. This particular boner was unfortunate because I had to stand in front of the class and read something off a sheet of paper. I didn't want the class or the teacher to see my thimble of a boner, so I decided to hold the sheet of paper in front of my crotch while I read it to the class. I was pretty confident my idea worked. When I finished reading, the teacher asked me to stay standing in the front of the class. She said that I did a great job holding the sheet of paper down low so I could see the class better and the class could see me better. I then handed in the paper and went back to my seat, with my unrelenting pubescent boner not being shielded by a piece of paper. Once I sat down, the girl next to me asked if I held the paper there to cover up the little bump in my pants. I just shrugged and looked the other way. When I was little, before I had even the slightest clue what sex was, I used to get little random boners from time to time. And apparently, I had noticed some sort of pattern. Because one night when my mom was tucking me into bed, I asked mom, "Why does my pee-pee feel hard sometimes?" And she said, "I don't know, honey. Does it hurt?" I said no. But it only does it when you're around. It's one of those memories that haunts me every time I think about it. Not me but a close friend, and I can never forget this one. In school the kind of cooler kids would do anything to bully and abuse others. Talking 15-year-olds. Often in the changing rooms after gym they would turn off the lights and try to pull down someone's shorts and underwear. Well, one time they decided to do it to the kid they thought was gay. They figured if he was hiding an erection then he's gay and they would bully him. Guy's fairly well built, actually decent looking. They end up doing this to him, and as the lights come back on he is stood there smiling. Guy has this 10 monster cock and he just starts staring at them one by one and dropping a wink from time to time. The guys instantly go awkward and shut up. They didn't end up bullying him either and just left him alone the rest of the next few years. I never understood people like that. Sprang a stiff one while watching Zoe 101 with my sister back in elementary school. Victoria Justice was hot, goddammit. Hugging my date. And this was one of my first real dates. She said the classic "is that an X in your pocket?" line. I was blushing for hours. TL. DR. To this day my GF makes fun of me for my drunk boner apology en español. A few years ago my GF and I were at an all-inclusive resort in Cancun. We were drinking all day by the beach and decided to get a couples massage. Now I had been drinking a lot of tequila, and getting naked with my tanned GF in a room started me down the path towards Boner Town, so I quickly lay down on my stomach attempting to suffocate the beast. Fortunately my masseuse was a bigger lady with a slight mustache, so I was confident in my ability to de-escalate the situation. Unfortunately she had the hand strength of a world-class mountain climber combined with the delicate touch of a brain surgeon. She also had no qualms about getting those mitts into some private areas. She explored my buttocks and interior thighs in a manner that would make Lewis and Clark jealous. I never stood a chance. When it was time to flip onto my back there was no hiding my shame, so I embraced it, and with my limited Spanish. There's a kid in my class that got a boner in PE. In high school. He was wearing sweatpants. It was really embarrassing. So this post goes out to him. This happened last weekend. I pick up a girl and take her to a deserted parking lot near a park and some athletic fields. We hop in the back and start making out. Mind you, it's around 11 PM. Then, after about 5 minutes of making out, a couple of lights shine behind the car. Ghostly light starts moving toward the car. And we huddle together in a corner of the car. "Hey guys. What are you doing in there?" Turns out the park was closed after dark and I opened the door to a cop while having a full-fledged boner. He politely told us to leave. But this is probably one of the most awkward cock blocks ever.